Hi, welcome. I'm Tara Rose, and I'm here today with Nomecito. He is a co-founder of Los Cielos, which is an ayahuasca retreat center in Peru. And Nome is an herbal educator and an expert on sacred medicines. So I'm really grateful and excited to share with you today some information on this other medicine called Hape. And Nome, why don't you share with us what it is and why it would be interesting to us?
Great, thank you for having me. And yeah, it's my pleasure to share. So of all these great Amazonian medicines, one of my favorites is a medicine called Hape. And it's great because it's usable by many people. You don't have to be an expert to be able to use it. And it's good for many different reasons. Congestion, allergies, sinusitis, maybe even migraines. And it's great for also just setting an intentional space of meditation for yourself, doing yoga, things like this, being creative. And so there's a number of ways that people can just use it every day. So it's really great to share about it and let people know all about it. Well, what is it? Hape itself is actually a powder, okay? And I have some here in a little jar I'll show you. You can see there, it's just a little powder, a very fine powder, usually more fine than even the finest powder in your kitchen. And primarily hapes are made from tobacco and the ash of tobacco, and then a mixture of other plants. And the mixture of the other plants is what gives each variety of hape its own unique uses and indications.
Great. So something that's interesting to me about hape is that it's not like what some people would consider a psychedelic medicine, but it is an entheogen. It is a plant that helps us get more in touch with our divinity and helps us get more in touch with ourselves, right? It helps us center, it helps us ground. Can you talk about some of the emotional and spiritual benefits of working with hape?
Right, for sure. So yeah, and one of the great things about it is that while simultaneously it helps to clean out the physical aspects of our body, in the same way, it also helps to clean us out emotionally and energetically, allowing us to be more open to receive of spiritual guidance and insight and direction, connection, and reverence. The energy of the hape can be very powerful, both because of the very grounding, fatherly, masculine force of the tobacco that's generally in the hapes, but then the unique individual plants will really work in different ways. They'll work in the head or in the body or in the emotions. They can help to release different emotions, much as if you were to take the same plants in a tea or a tincture or another way. But the great thing about the hape is that these plants can go straight into the head, and many of them contain alkaloids, and they're actually going to be able to go straight into and break the blood-brain barrier within a few seconds of application. So you can get a very immediate response and a very immediate effect, and you can process a lot of things then in a short amount of time. And the whole process only takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, or you could have a larger dose of hape and give yourself up to a couple hours of a deeper meditation.
Yeah, so right, and you mentioned different varieties of hape. And I know my experience with you is that some can be very gentle, where I receive this hape and then I'm able to just meditate and drop in. And then other times it's been life-altering and dramatic. Mm-hmm. And I could barely breathe, and I had to really work hard to stay upright. So there's all these different kinds of varieties, and how do we know what kind of hape would be right for us?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are many of different varieties of hape, and in general, the varieties are named after the tribes that they were made by. Many of the tribes in Brazil, they make one or maybe two varieties within that tribe, and then it's named after them, and that's what it is. It's sort of like, what kind of lettuce do you like? You know, you just have to try some to get to know some.
And maybe you just feel intuitively which you're drawn to.
Yeah, usually places where you can obtain hape, they're going to have a description, and you want to just read the descriptions, and you just want to try to get, if you're a beginner, one that's more gentle, better for beginners. Another way that you can tell if you can see them, it's not always true, because we're going to try one today that in some ways defies this this scale. But I've got 2 jars of Hape here, and you can see one is more brown and one is more gray. So in the making of Hape, generally some or all of the plants are ashed, and they're put through a process of being actually turned from the dried plant into nothing but the ash. And this process is a very specific process that must be done under intense supervision at every moment so that the plants are not caught on fire and actually burning, yet that they're continually degrading to nothing but ash. So the more gray the Hape is, the more ash it has. The more ash it has, the more activated the plants will be, the more quickly they will act. And when you receive of the medicine, usually the more gray, the more ash, then it will feel a little more sharp, a little more cutting, and can have a much more of a visionary, acute sensation. Lots of times ones that are more brown, they have less ash. Sometimes those can go in and at first not much happens, and then later it will build and grow within you more.
Okay, thank you.
So as a beginner, I might pick one that was not as gray, because you'll just have a little gentler ride. You can use smaller doses of some that are more in the middle.
Great.
And then as you're more experienced, move to ones that are more ashed, are going to be more effective. They're going to be stronger per dose. And you'll want to be a little bit more practiced with yourself even before using them to get the most out of them.
So traditionally, hapes are used in the beginning or the end of ayahuasca ceremonies. I've seen them also being used similarly with kambo, frog venom ceremonies, to get one out of the head and into the heart center so you can better receive. What would be some other traditional uses?
Well, and to answer that and continue on is that the medicine really will help to ground one, energetically and emotionally. So the energy of the tobacco can be very grounding, very protecting, and also because the experience is so visceral, it's usually there's some spitting, there's some crying, there can be sweating, there could be shaking. At times you could have a mild, short visionary experience with your eyes closed. Because of this, it really brings you into the present moment in your body. And whatever else was going on, you will forget about for a little while. And even forgetting about it for a while will help bring you to a place where you have received stillness. And then it will help you, like at the beginning of a ceremony. Then from this place of having all of your energy back and centered in yourself, then you can begin fresh on a clean slate with all of yourself present for the matters at hand. So it's really good. It can be good in the morning time, first thing as a morning practice before you get going in the day. It can also be good at the end of the day to shift gears from work into your home life or into a more of a quiet time when the kids go to bed or whatnot, and you finally get that hour of quiet time. So in these transitions, and to really help bring your energy back to yourself, remember who you are in those moments, and just get present in the moment.
This is all really helpful. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about your experiences with the spirit qualities of the herb. Or of the medicine, I should say, because it's multiple herbs. But when you feel this medicine, how do you feel like Hape wants to be used? Do you feel like Hape wants to come to more people at this time?
Well, this is a very interesting question. If you went and asked the shamans that I work with in the Amazon this question, they would say that if you want plants and are willing to take plants, that they want to give you plants. Because anyone who's willing to take plants and at whatever stage you're at, continue or begin a journey of looking within yourself with the intention of making yourself better, however that is today for you, that the carriers of these plants would like to help you. And also for the tribes who make these medicines, where they all come from, it also helps them be able to continue to teach their children about the plants, to make the medicine. It's the one Hape blend that their tribe has always made, because now, unlike in the past, they have to have some money for some things, and it helps to support them. But without that, they would have to find that elsewhere, and that is how the traditions become lost.
So in other words, if we work with Hape, then we're actually supporting the traditions in the Amazon.
I think that it in most cases, especially when you're able to obtain Hapes from sources getting it right from the tribes, that yeah, it is helping to a degree to support their livelihood, both by spreading the knowledge of what this medicine is, by spreading respect for the Amazon jungle and the power of the plants there, and awareness, which will lead to more respect for the tribes themselves and their rights and their wants and their desires to live in the way that they do. So if we don't even know they exist, we're certainly not going to be thinking about them in our off time. If we're really feeling and appreciating the medicines coming from the essence of who these people are, we're going to be as a society more likely, to, I think, to protect more, to want to give more back, to retribute. And so it can be a very positive cycle for everyone involved, as we're all learning to heal ourselves, and then we're also healing everyone at the same time.
And so as we are working with the plants to heal ourselves, we're helping to restore balance in the planet.
Well, we're working with the plants are working with us, and we're working together in a trinity with the planet itself. So there's people, plants, and place is what I like to call it. And as the plants help the people want to take better care of the place. When the place is better, it makes more and better plants. All those more better plants can help more people. Maybe the better people plant more plants. Then it's a nicer place, then more people come. It just keeps getting better and better for everyone. Mm-hmm. Maybe the people take seeds of these plants somewhere else and they start them with some other people, and then it makes their community better. And so as we share seeds, we share ideas, we share medicines with respect, then we can enhance all of our lives and communities for ourselves and then for everyone globally. Just one little step at a time, though.
Thank you. So I kind of think of this plant then as a bit of a purifier in terms of its effects on the system. Would you agree? Purifying?
I would agree that it's a purifying, Hape is a purifying medicine. And in general, tobacco is a purifying medicine.
Tobacco is often misunderstood, right? And misused in our culture. Would you say?
Well, tobacco is something I love to talk about at length. Okay. But to summarize, to not get too excited about tobacco itself while we're really focusing on Hape today. Okay. But tobacco is generally the main ingredient in the Hape or the main ashed ingredient in the Hape. Sometimes in the Hapes, just while we're on the topic of the tobacco here, you could have an unashed, just dried mapacho tobacco in a blend that could also contain a half-ashed mapacho in the blend that could also contain a fully ashed of the mapacho in the blend. There's usually Hape makers may make 2, 3, 4 grades from not at all ash to very ash levels of mapacho, and those different grades of mapachos will be blended into with the other plants in different proportions to make the different mixes themselves even. And so tobacco is a very important part of the Hape in general, to any Hape. And tobacco itself is a very protective plant. Part of the way it protects you is by eliminating from you anything that is not good for you. Mm-hmm. And then in the space that is left from what's been eliminated, it can refill you with positive energy, with light, with power, with the force of the heavens and the universe, and increase the power of your prayer, but emanating outward as protection versus trying to protect everything coming inward. Mm-hmm. So it helps you to boost up a little more like this and perk your chest up a little bit and feel more power coming from inside, but sourced from the universe. Mm-hmm. So it never tires you out and will never continue flowing through you. So the tobacco helps to eliminate, and when we eliminate enough, it leads to the purification. And with the other medicines combined, and also the ashing of the Hape, the ashing of the mapacho, making it more strong more quickly, it leads to a more rapid elimination, making this a very purifying medicine indeed.
So it's commonly accompanied by sound healing, right? In the ceremony?
There's many ways to apply Hape. Okay. When I apply it to myself, by myself, I'll many times just sit in silence and just listen to the nature, if I can, to some birds or a river, or just the silence of inside of my own home. But then also in a group setting or with a few people, it can be very nice, whether each person applies themselves or if someone applies everyone, to then let yourself relax, lay back or sit up and close your eyes and just see where the energy takes you. Feel the medicine in your body as it comes in, whether it's going down in your body or whether it's up in your head. There'll be a sensation of warmth, of tingling potentially, and just experience it for whatever it is for a matter of 20, 30, 40 minutes. And if you can add sound, music, song, whether live or even recorded, can really guide you through a nice little journey for yourself to go into a place of some consideration of some things about your life, and then to also come back out refreshed.
Very good.
Yeah.
So Nome is going to show us how to do a self-administration of Hape, so that if you're resonating with this medicine, you're wanting to experience it, and you don't have the ability to experience it with somebody else trained in applying it, you can learn how to do it yourself.
Exactly.
And we will get to see Nome give me Hape in a moment, but first I'd like to give Nome an opportunity to teach us how we can use it on our own.
Sure. All right, so let's look at first, should we look at the tools now?
Yeah, let's
Tara?
look at the tools.
So there's a few tools I want to show, just so you can see, so here's the powder, but how do you get this in your nose? So how do you do that? Well, we're going to show you. So there's two different tools. There's one for applying yourself. This is called a kuripe, and I'll show that to you there. Mine is made out of Palo Santo wood. It's got a nice piece of ayahuasca vine there on it. And these two pieces of wood have been cut and put together inside of here. So this is one open chamber throughout. Okay? And this is called a pipe, or kuripe, Kuripe. And this part I'll put in my mouth, and I'll load the medicine in here, and then you blow it up your nose, which I'll show you in just a moment. To serve someone else, you're going to use a pipe that's called a tepi. And I have a few versions here. This one's made of stone. It's got the condor, the jaguar, and the snake on it. And you can see here, so it's a little longer, and it's meant for one person to blow it into someone else's nostril. There's another version here that's more angled, where it's a straight angle. I have the one that I'll actually use today, which is my main one that I use. And this one is also made from bamboo. And so this one's very nice. And so these are called tepi for blowing someone else. There's advantages to blowing yourself, and there's advantages to having someone else blow your medicine for you and apply it. With yourself, you get to know your nostril, your nasal structure, and you can get the angle perfected exactly for you. So you can get the doses right where you want them. Up in your sinuses can be very effective once you get to know your own body. And it's also really interesting just getting to learn about the inside of your body, which you can start to feel and become aware of when you apply your own Hape to yourself. So you start to learn about your own body through this process, which can be amazing in and of itself. Also, to let someone else apply your medicine for you, a lot of times because the pipe is longer, they can have a harder blow at a slightly different angle, and also because you're not doing anything, you're not blowing your own medicine, you're just relaxing. The medicine usually will go deeper in and over the head and back into the back. So you usually can get a deeper penetration of the dose if someone else is applying it. When you get really good at applying your own dose, you can get the same level of penetration, but at first it's harder to get it all the way over the head with the stealth applicator. So benefits to both.
And that is a weird feeling when you say, too, when you haven't experienced it before, to experience medicine going in through your brain. You feel it going up in your cavities and in your head. It's a really interesting feeling. It's a burning feeling. The first time I saw it done at a ceremony, I asked the people who had just done it to each other, I said, is that like snorting wasabi? Because that's what it looks like. And they said, yeah, actually, that's a pretty good description. It is like snorting wasabi.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. And there are gentler and then stronger ones, of course. But
some degree of discomfort should be expected.
Some degree of temporary discomfort should be expected. That's right. But the good thing about these medicines of the Amazon is, unlike pharmaceutical medicines of the Western world that make you feel good first and then bad later, but bad mostly for a lot of later. The Amazonian medicines make you feel a little bad for a little bit, but then mostly good mostly later. So that's in my opinion, I'd rather be in that. You're going to have to get good and bad sometime, get a little bit out of the way, and then you feel much better the rest of the time. For me, that's the way to go.
Instant side effects, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So I can show you how I would apply myself.
Yeah, and I know it would be really awesome for us to get to see the way to approach it, the ritual aspects of this, how we can approach this medicine in the right way.
Exactly. So maybe before I do, let me just comment. There's a few reasons why you would want to use the Hape. I mean, there's physical reasons like congestion, allergies, sinusitis, just any kind of blockage in the head, maybe even headaches or migraines potentially, and then energetically working through a process, forgetting an old lover, refocusing from a stressful day into trying to relax at home, giving yourself space for meditation, inner exploration, whatever the case may be. There's all these different reasons why we can use it. And the really important part around whatever your reason at that time is, whether you have a nasal infection is more mundane, or whether you really want to allow yourself to cry because you have been holding it back, and maybe this can help to energetically break down into deeper in your heart to allow you to cry about this thing that you need to cry about. Whatever it is, the intention that you bring to this medicine is going to be the key really to your success with a healthy relationship with this medicine. For some people, their intention may be that they want to not smoke tobacco as much, and so this is another cleaner way for their body to receive some of the tobacco and also the medicine and the healing of these other plants with it, so making it better for them in that way. And for me, what I see is that because this medicine is so powerful and because it's small, I can just carry it in my hand, in my pocket on a hike, and I don't need to take anything else with me. It's easy to be used, but also it could be easily overused without so much intention. So I really just urge you to come to this medicine as very sacred every time that you do, and really bring an intention. It doesn't have to be super mystical and spiritual, but it could just be, my nose is infected and I would really like to blow all these boogers out. That's good. But to bring that respect and that moment of sharing the intention with the medicine before you offer it to yourself. And the plants are very smart, so on some level they will hear you and they will respond accordingly. So to get the conversation rolling in that way, plants are very smart and they will go in the body where they need to go to do the best healing that they can at this time to allow you to progress in your path to the next step, wherever it is.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's
it's all about intention and respect.
Intention and respect is everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The ancestors love good jokes because they're eternal and they're just bored as crap out there some days. So they don't mind some good humor. And if we can provide it, it's even better. As long as you do things with respect and honor for those who have come before you, and reverence for the medicine at hand, then a little humor is also okay.
You mentioned the ancestors. I wonder, how long do you think this medicine has been being used?
Well, it's unknown, but it's many thousands of years into the history of the Amazon.
And that's exciting, because then as we are using this tradition ourselves or being part of it, then we're connecting.
We are connecting back into, anytime we do anything, really, we're connecting back into all those who have done it before us. Mm. And so we really want to choose those things that we're involved in, involving ourselves in medicines and rituals of those of the ancient ones who have come before us, of sacred ways, will start to bring us more information, attract more energy about these ways, and help to elevate the vibration of our life. Because we only have so much of us, and whatever we put into us is what it will be. And so including these types of practices in our lives will make this part of who we are. And that will inherently make us as better people.
That's beautiful.
I feel. So,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll want to learn more, And I will not claim to be a master of Hape in particular compared to others who are there. For instance, these medicines do come from the Amazon, and just to say, I have been trained in serving and preparing Hape and all the different parts that go along with this medicine. I learned from a woman who learned from the tribe for many years, living with the tribe in Brazil. So I learned secondhand from this woman, but I didn't spend many years in Brazil to learn from the tribe. So one good thing about this medicine is that you can take it and you can enjoy it, and you don't need to have years and years of training to safely use and purposefully use this medicine. But on the other hand, if you become more interested, that you can follow this path infinitely, learning more and more and more about it to deepen and deepen your own path of the medicine and of yourself in the process.
Yeah, that's really cool. So getting ready to give yourself this Hape medicine, you're going to have some accessories with you.
Right, so things you need to do a successful Hape. Well, the main thing you need is you need your kuripe, your pipe, and you need some Hape, which I have a little bit of here in this jar for easy dosing. You could survive without, but ideally, you're going to also want to have a bucket, especially if you're inside. Outside, you don't need a bucket so much, but inside, you'll need something to spit into. This is probably too big, but something that you can spit into. Potentially, you might throw up into it, so I wouldn't use your finest Chinaware. Lightweight is also good in case you need to carry it with you to the bathroom. And likely, you're going to want to have some toilet paper or paper towel.
That is not for the places we might normally use toilet paper.
You're going to want to use this to blow your nose. You could use tissues. In general, if I'm doing it with other people, I will use paper towels, not toilet paper, because you tend to get a lot of mucus when you have the Hape in you that you want to blow out, and it usually just blows right through toilet paper. So we're going to use this, but I have to double or triple up the layers, or I'll blow right out of it. It's just not duty enough for this level of elimination, right?
I just had a thought about mucus. So since mucus is part of how our body excretes things that it doesn't want in there, and it's sort of fluid, do we need to be hydrated for this to be effective?
Well, I don't think you need to be overly hydrated, but I would always recommend staying hydrated. I think it's good to come into it hydrated and drink some water and have some water nearby. Usually after you've had the medicine, you may want to rinse your throat out. And likely in a minute or two, you'll want to take a drink after you've probably blown your nose or spit or something. So it's good to have some water nearby.
Great.
But you don't need to be overly concerned with hydration. If you were feeling dehydrated, let's say, and you're like at the beach and it's already hot and sunny, it might not be the best time to take Hape. I will say that because of the tobacco especially, but even in varieties that have no tobacco, and especially for beginning users of Hape, it is possible that you'll have a bit of lightheadedness or just a real rush in the head the first few times you do it. So it's good to be sitting down somewhere where no one's going to bother you for an hour, somewhere quiet and relaxing, and just know that you have the time, that you don't know how it's going to go. It could be not super eventful, and it's over in 10 minutes, and it could be an hour. So it's good to have a little bit of a setting prepared for yourself to have that kind of healing environment, and then you're going to have the best results for whatever may come of the medicine.
And the only contraindications would be if someone has an allergy to tobacco, right?
The contraindications for Hape would be if you actually literally have a physical allergy to tobacco, you would know, and then you would not want to take this medicine unless you got the variety that is called Apurina, and that's the type that is made by a number of sources, but it doesn't have any tobacco. So there's other ways you can get ones without. So you could use those, and they'll be very effective just as well. Also, I think if you are pregnant, especially in the first trimester or towards the third, basically if you're pregnant at all, I would just advise you not to try Hape unless you already had a relationship, or to consult your healthcare provider or something like that, because as this medicine is very eliminatory, before I try mine, we can talk a little bit about what how physically you receive it, and then what the process will entail. But your body's just going to try to eliminate everything, and so you may not want to encourage that during a pregnancy. But in general, otherwise, it's pretty safe for most people. I'm not sure how young, but probably 16, 18-year-olds. Definitely in the jungle, we've applied kids much younger than that. Up to myself, I've applied Hape to people into their 90s who loved it very successfully.
Into their 90s?
Into their 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's generally safe for most people, and you just work with bigger or smaller doses depending on, who they are, body weight. If it's an elderly woman that seems frail, you're going to just give her the tiniest little amount that you can if she really wants to experience it. If it's a 35-year-old guy that's like ripped and really hardcore, you're going to give him a little more,
Right.
So
tell us about what you're going to do.
All right, so the way that you're going to apply to yourself here is what I'm first going to do is if you have any mucus in your nose, I feel pretty clean. You can do a pre-blow. It's good to get, if you're already kind of up in your nose because you have allergies or something, do a pre-blow and get all the boogers and mucus out right off the bat that you can, so that you're not just blowing it straight into the boogers just right here, so at least you can get it up to here or whatever, right? So do a pre-blow. If you're doing this at home and you've got all your equipment, you can do your pre-blow right now, get all the boogers out you can. I'll just do one and see if I have any, and then if you're doing it, then it'll buy you some time. Okay, so I'll do a pre-blow. See, and I like to do quadruple layers, or I blow right through the paper. All right, I got a little bit out there, not much. Get it nice and clean in there. This is pretty bodily functions, but the reality is, whether it's if you look into the Ayurvedics or any of the ancient ways, cleaning the passages of the body, cleaning your teeth, cleaning your nose, cleaning your ears, cleaning your fingernails. These things are all very important. But how often do we really clean our nose and our sinuses? Not that often. I think most people probably neti pot if you have an infection before you try the antibiotics or whatever. But there's so many things we can do all the time that this is even a preventative. We'll just keep our sinuses from getting infected. So it's just great. It's just great. So what I'll do is I'll just talk us through it here. You're going to have your medicine in a little bottle. Okay, and you want to always store these, like any herbs or medicines, out of the sun and in the cool and in the shade. And so I'm going to put a dose in my left hand because I'm right-handed. I'm going to use the pipe in my right hand. I'm going to put a dose in my left hand about what I want for both nostrils.
And will you show us what it looks like?
Yeah, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get from me what's going to be 2 doses for today.
Okay.
Now, you have to get to know every Hape you're working with.